Okay, so I'm going to be working on the companion page to this one. So I still have it out. I just finished it. I know this video goes up the next day, but I just finished this layout. And so these photos were also taken at the same time on the same day. And so I'm going to coordinate it across the spread like I like to do. But I don't really need to add too much journaling on this side because this card will cover it. Maybe a little bit like a strip or two. But I have these 3 photos, and instead of focusing on the snow, even though I do have a lot of snowy elements out here, I'm going to be focusing more on like the cozy, cuddly vibe. So that's all I have planned. I have these printed. These are pretty much 3x4. I kind of like the vertical orientation, especially with the pocket page on this side. So yeah, that's where I'm starting. Got everything out and ready to go. I'm gonna keep the monochromatic feel, maybe add a little bit of green on this side since I have some in these trees, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, on to the process. Okie dokie, so the first thing I need to do is create my 9x12 base, and the Cocoa Daisy papers do not come in 12x12 anymore, but the planner papers do come, they're a little bit taller than 12 and they're like 8 inches. So I'm just going to use that pretty snowflake one as my base, and I'm going to add this really pretty, it kind of almost reads as an ombre when used like this. I'm going to use it as like the extended piece to make it a full 9x12. I have to pull it up and put it back down a few times because it's not quite straight, which is always my problem, but not that big of a deal. I'm using the ruler to sort of straighten it out here, trimming the edges, making sure it's 9 inches across before I get started. Okay, so there's my base, and you can see it's folded a little bit, but once you build the cluster on top, it's not even going to be a big deal. You won't be able to tell at all. So I used these swirly bits in the pocket page section of this layout, so I'm going to use them again on the 9x12 as well, and they're going to kind of swirl around and go off the page and come back around instead of, you know, just creating a straight line. It makes this really cool design on the paper strip there that really adds a lot of interest to the page, I think. So I'm just using a few and seeing how I can sort of make them start and stop in the same place and like nest together well so that they don't just kind of, so that they look like they're together and not like floating separately. Of course I cut that one too short, so now I gotta fix it. There we go. I mean, just a little bit right up there at the top to finish it off. Perfect. I'm gonna pull this up a little bit so that I can make sure that the little swirls go underneath that white paper, and now I'm ready to start building my layout. I decide against the greens as far as in those papers, and I went with this really bright blue instead. I love this blue color. It's just utter perfection. This is one of my favorite shades of blue, so I really wanted to incorporate it in this layout on both sides. And instead of sort of cascading or layering my photos so that they like go right, left, I decided to cascade them diagonally a little bit across this paper block. And I just wanted to do something a little different than I normally do. I didn't want them straight up and down like in a perfect line. And normally when I offset photos, I go like back and forth. So instead I created like a nice diagonal here. And I'm adding in these, sorry about my head, I'm adding in these tabs on either side, actually just for decoration. I do end up adding some words to them because otherwise they're blank, but they're just for fun. So initially I was going to work in these journaling cards, and I changed my mind. I take off the time to stay home first, even though I really do like that card a lot. I just couldn't fit it into the page effectively. And then I'm going to end up taking off this Let's Cuddle as well. And once I do that, the page really starts coming together and makes me a lot happier. So right now I'm just layering these bits that I have pulled out. I wanted to incorporate some of the cute little characters from the collection. I really like that reindeer that's all bundled up. I thought it was appropriate. And I love this little tag too. But this just is not coming together the way that I want it to. It's not working. I open up the crepe paper embellishments that came in the memory keeping classified kit, and I love this, like, the blue is different. It's like a dark teal gray almost. And then there's a little bit of pink in the embellishments that I choose as well. And I really wanted it to stay monochromatic, but I really feel like this blush pink is sort of neutral enough that it just feels like an accent piece rather than adding a color to it. So I took off that card and I'm layering the tags, and you can see that I am incorporating a bit of this dark green, but again, it feels less like taking away from the monochromatic feel and more like just adding a little bit of a pop of color that just reinforces the monochromatic feel to me. So I have this set of strips, and I only wanted the pink and the teal one, so I cut off that yellow. And I really feel like this really started coming together once I pulled out this stuff. You can see I'm just sort of building this cluster free form. I'm not gluing anything down, which is amazing for me. And I'm just seeing where things could go. And I love how clustery and how layered this layout came together. I don't love adding things like pop dots to add dimension because my layouts or my albums end up being so full without them. So of course it is still a bit flat, but there's so much going on and I just love it. So I'm building this cluster, or I'm ready to glue things down, and so I'm gluing from the top down. That way I don't have to take apart my cluster and put it back together. If you start from the top down, things start sticking to the things underneath it, and then you can pick up whole groups of objects and add your tape runner to the back of it, and it will reinforce the layering. And that way it all comes together as a group rather than having to rebuild it, which makes me happy because if I take it apart and have to rebuild it, I never put it back the way it's supposed to be. So this is good for me. So now I can place this whole cluster down as one big thing, and I need to add these snowflakes in, just peeking out from behind. I like the repetition of having these on this layout as well as the pocket layout. Plus they add a different texture, which is always fun. Look at how adorable that cluster is. Oh, it makes me so happy. So I'm going to add in some of these black stickers, and like I talked about in the last video, these black stickers that I add really bring together the stamping from the pocket side of the page and really make it cohesive with this side of the page as well, which makes me super happy. So I've got these black snowflakes, and I'm kind of just trying to see if there's anything else in this crepe paper stuff that I want to add, and I end up adding a second journal block, and I don't even realize that I've added a second journal block until I have taken photos of the layout and gone, wait, why are there two journaling blocks? So you'll see in the photos that I add another word. I think I add that chili to this journaling block I'm about to add, and so it just kind of becomes like a spot for this title, which worked out fine because that chili, that black chili up there in the left-hand corner, it would not have worked on that blue paper. So it just kind of gave me somewhere to put it, which is good. So I've just laid out the pockets again so I can look at things together, and I decided I want to add in some stamping just like on the pocket side. So I'm going to add this circle just like I have on the pocket side, and I want to add it into the clusters of snowflakes that I've already created. So I decided to add the circles and then I decided to add the snowflakes after the fact. I was going to just add the circles, but I really felt like they were empty and and sad and lonely without their snowflake counterpart. So I do end up adding the snowflakes in. But I don't know, looking back at it, I probably didn't have to, but I wanted to. Look at this stamp platform. You guys, it makes me so happy. Look at it. Oh, all of like the hesitation with my stamping is totally gone. I just feel more confident and it works so much better for me and it makes me so happy and I just want to bust out all my stamps all the time. I put this down and like it creates a stamp impression before I even ink it and I was like, all right, that's good enough. All right. I think that this is it for this layout. I'm not sure that I add anything else. We'll see together. But if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. And if you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I am at Tracy M. Reed, and I would love to see you over there as well. And I will see you next time. All right, thank you.